Ask Alec.
Hey guys, it's Alex Torelli and welcome back to another episode of Ask Alec, where I take your questions on poker and answer them in quick videos, 5 minutes or less. Today's question comes from Chavy Cash on YouTube, who asks about shot taking in poker. He wants to know when is the best time to take shots, how much money he should do it with, and just any advice on shot taking in general. So I think this is a great question, and I know it's something that's really, really important because the times that you want to take a shot, play a bigger game, a lot's at stake, a lot of risk, and you really got to be prepared to play your best game possible. So quick video about shot taking today. I'm going to give you a lot of cool tips today, but if you guys really want to get more information on this subject and have a complete course on bankroll management, I highly recommend you check out my course, 4-Step Poker, over at my blog, alectorelli.com. I have an entire section on how to structure your bankroll, divide it between tournaments and cash games, and specifically exactly what percentage of your bankroll you should use for shot taking. A lot more information on that. I encourage you to check that out. But for today, here's what you need to know. So first things first, when to shot take. I have another video I put out called How to Prepare for Tournaments, which tells you a lot about my pregame routine and really everything I do to get mentally prepared to be in my best state of mind possible. I think that's important for every poker session you play, but specifically for shot taking, extremely important because let's face it, there's more at stake. So anytime you're going to do something where you're playing a game where more money's at stake, you really have to make sure you're checking all your dots before you play. So definitely things like getting a good night's sleep, exercising before you play, making sure you're fresh, eating a healthy meal, of course not drinking the night before, anything like that. You definitely want to just prepare yourself the best way possible so you give yourself the best chance to win. Now I know you're excited about when you do take your shot, you know, what game you should play and how much money you should risk. So the first thing to do is, of course, when you're taking a shot, you have to assume that there's a better opportunity than normal. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense economically to risk more money when the opportunity is worse. So of course, the most important element of taking shots, one thing that you really shouldn't ever compromise on is the fact that you think you have better odds of winning a lot of money because of some reason in a bigger game. It's not really a good reason to take a shot just because you won a lot of money or just because there's a bigger game going. What has to be an element that's essential of taking a shot is that there has to actually be a reason to do it that's economically profitable. So there really has to be, you know, a massive whale or two in the game or a couple people that are just dusting their money off. In order for you to really justify doing it. So you really have to select your games as good as possible because you're risking so much more money than you normally have available. That's number one. The second thing is how much percentage of your bankroll is prudent to lose or to take a risk in a game. Now, I give you the tools to do this on my course, which is why I recommend you check that out. It's not something that I could say is an exact answer. I can't just say 10% of your bankroll is what you should lose or 5% of your bankroll. It's a very, very case-by-case basis. A lot depends on how much money you have, how easy it is for you to earn money on a regular basis, what your other opportunities of earning money are in your life, and your current life situation. So I'll give you a few examples. If you have a very big bankroll and poker is all you've got and you got a family and kids, taking a shot doesn't really help you that much because if you win more money, okay, you have a little bit bigger of a bankroll, but if you lose money, now you have a really serious spot where, you know, your livelihood, your people around you, you have a lot of responsibility that's all contingent on your ability to produce at the poker table. So you put a lot of stress on your life situation for what? For the sake of playing a bigger game? It doesn't really make sense. On the other hand, if you have another stream of revenue, for example, or you're in a spot where you're young, you're single, you don't have any other responsibility of people around you, and you could afford to take a little bit more risks, be more aggressive at your younger age, then maybe taking a shot makes more sense and you could afford to risk a bigger percentage of your bankroll in a game. A general rule of thumb that people like to follow is people don't like to lose more than 5% of their bankroll in any one game. When it comes to shot taking, a lot of people choose to play tournaments, and I give you a lot of strategies to do this in my course as well, how to divide your role between cash games and tournaments. My bread and butter has always been cash games, and I highly recommend that you choose that as well because it's more stable, it's more easier to recoup your losses, and it's a more sustainable business model to be able to earn money long term. So I take a small percentage of my bankroll, put it into tournaments, What I like to do personally is also double down on my cash game. So I'll play a cash game that's maybe twice the size and take a shot that way, just because your odds of winning in a cash game are so much bigger. It's so much more sustainable of a business model, so I prefer to take my shots in cash games. So that's definitely something to consider for you guys, where when you're faced in a spot where you have a limited amount of resources and you're saying, where does this money that I'm going to use, where is this $1,000 buy-in, for example, best allocated for a shot? I highly recommend doing it in the cash games, because 40% of the time, even if you're in a tough game, you're going to be a winner. Whereas in a tournament, you're hoping to cash 10-15% of the time. So when you're taking a shot in a tournament, you have to be even more conservative, just because even the best players in the world face the reality of only cashing 15% of the time. So you really have to be much more willing to lose that money. So I'm much more comfortable taking shots in cash games, just because your odds of winning in any one given session are going to be at least 50% if you're a winning player. So that's another piece of advice I have for where to take your shot, and I think that's a big component of it. So just to recap, definitely make sure you're focused, you're prepared, you're getting everything straight. The biggest thing to taking shots is that there's economic opportunity in the game, and the third thing is that you're risking a responsible portion of your bankroll when you're taking shots. And I encourage you to figure out what works best for you with the variables in your life that make sense. So ultimately think about your life situation, what your goals are in poker, what your opportunity cost is, how much that money means to you, and play responsibly. That's the biggest piece of advice I have. Remember, winning more money is never as good as going broke. So don't bust your roll, be more conservative, and you'll be in the game longer. All right, guys, that's it for Ask Alec here in San Diego Beach. Much love. See you guys next week. Peace.